All right, welcome back, guys. So, in this session, we are going to see how we can colorize the keyboard keys, like we've done for the letter containers. So yeah, let's jump right into it. So we are going to open our input manager first. All right. And in the check word method, where we've colorized the word container, we are going to call keyboard. Oh, we don't have a script for that. So let's create one. And yeah, I think it's going to be called keyboard colorizer. Something like that. Okay, so it's going to be in charge of colorizing the keyboard. And we are going to pass in the secret word and the word to check, because it needs to have an idea of the word to check, just to be able to know if the letter in the word to check is contained in the secret word or not. So let's create this keyboard colorizer class, but first let's add a reference to it. Yeah, adding a reference to something that doesn't exist. Come on. But anyway, so let's create a new serialized field, private, keyboard, like so, colorizer, keyboard colorizer. So let's now create this class. Let's copy it, go back to Unity. We have an error, it's normal because the script doesn't exist yet. Let's create a new script inside our scripts folder. So C# script. Let's paste our keyboard colorizer. Enter. Nice. Let's now open it. So just to avoid having an error, we are first going to create a colorize method, which will take the secret word as the first argument. Secret word, sorry, not just secret. And the second argument will be the word to check. Like so. Let's go back to the input manager to check if the syntax is okay. So secret word and word to check next. Perfect. Okay, now let's tackle this colorized method. So first off, we need a reference to all of our keys. So let's create it. So we are going to create a new header called elements as usual. Let's create a private array of keyboard key, and let's call it keys. In the awake method that we create, so called before the start method, again, now you are used to it, I hope. Let's store these keys. So keys is going to be equals to get components in children of type keyboard key. And that's it. We now have our keys. But this keyboard colorizer class hasn't been attached to a specific game object for now. So let's do that. We are going to go back to Unity, open the UI game object. Under the keyboard container, we are going to add our keyboard colorizer class. Perfect. Now, when storing the keys, Unity will search through all of the children and find these keys. That's exactly what we want. Before we forget, let's select the input manager, drag the keyboard container, which contains the keyboard colorizer, and drop it here in the reference that we've made previously. All right, let's now jump back to our keyboard colorizer. Cool. So now the syntax will be a bit different. The algorithm is different from the letter container one. First, we are going to loop through all of the keys. Okay, so let's store it maybe, or let's just store that letter. So let's store the letter of that key. So it's going to be char. Let's call it key letter equals keys of index I dot get letter. Oh, we don't have that method yet. Let's create it. Let's open the keyboard key class like so. And let's add a get letter method. So it's going to be a public method, char, because it returns a character, get letter. Here we are simply going to return the letter text index 0. Perfect, like we've done previously, right here. Now let's go back to our keyboard colorizer. Okay. We now have the letter that our key contains. We are now going to loop through all of the letters of the word to check. So let's set the index J now. Okay. So from 0 to word to check dot length. And we first are going to check if the key letter, so if the key we are pressing is different than the current word to check letter. If that's the case, we can continue. Okay? Continue simply means that we tell Unity or we tell the code to go to the next iteration. So if the index was 0, it's going to be 1. It won't execute the code under the continue call. Okay? So if we happen to reach this code, it means that the key letter we've pressed, okay, like so, is equals to the current word to check letter. Okay, is that okay? So for instance, if we've pressed the letter U, if we reach this code, it means that the letter U is equals to the current letter that we are checking in the word to check. Okay? So what are we going to do now? Now that we know that the letter we've pressed is contained into the word we are checking, let's compare it to the secret word. So we can write, if the word to check index J, so the letter we are checking, here you can also tell if the key letter, it's exactly the same thing. So if the key letter equals the secret word index J, that means that the key is valid. Okay? Else, if the secret word contains the key letter, it means that the letter is potential, like we've done for the letter containers. Otherwise, the key is invalid. Okay? Perfect. So now you understand that we are performing this check here at line 36, just because that if we were to loop through all of the keys and see if they were invalid, almost all of the keys would turn gray. And that's not what we want. We only want to check the letters or the keys that the player has pressed. Cool. So yeah, let's create these methods. So here we can call keys i.setValid, keys i.setPotential, and here keys i.setInvalid. Okay, perfect. Let's create these methods now. So we can enter the keyboard key class and create the three methods. So public void set valid. Okay, public void set potential, like so. And the last one, public void set invalid. Awesome. Now we shouldn't have any more errors. Okay, cool. As we've done for the letter container right here, we need a reference to the container or the sprite or the renderer or of the keyboard key. So let's add a reference to it. So serialized field, private, oh, not serializable, but serialized field, like so. Now it's not a sprite renderer because we are dealing with the user interface, so it's simply an image. And let's call it renderer. Okay. So in the setValid method, we are going to call renderer.color equals color.green. If it's potential, renderer.color equal colors.yellow. And finally, renderer.color equals color.gray when it's invalid. Okay, let's go back to Unity. Before hitting play, let's add a reference to our render in the keyboard key class. So we can just drag the image component and drop it here in the image reference. All right, let's hit play. Okay, let's try bread as usual. Bread, so boom, boom, like so. Let's hit try. Awesome. We know that the letter E is valid, the letter D is potential, and all of the other ones are invalid. But there is a small issue. What if we write the word dealt? Like so. So the letter E was valid previously, right? So it was also valid here. But now it's in the second place. So if we hit try, it's now potential. That's bad. That's not what we want. We want the letter E to stay green right here. So let's fix that in the next lesson.